Welcome to Ponytails and Pep Talks, the podcast where blowouts, breakdowns, and breakthroughs are a weekly discussion. I'm your host, Regina. For over 3 decades, I've been behind the salon chair as a stylist, an owner, and yes, your favorite unlicensed therapist. I have heard it all. The tears, the triumphs, the you won't believe what just happened stories from courageous women overcoming incredible obstacles. So let's meet one of them right now on Ponytails and Pep Talks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ponytails and Pep Talks. I'm your host, Regina. We're at a place where we talk about real life, real struggles, and real strength. Today is personal for my family. Today is National Recognition Day for SMAS. We have on our purple. That's the color that's chosen. SMAS is Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome. Very basic explanation is where 2 arteries, the aorta and the mesenteric, begin to squeeze the small intestines like you would step on a water hose and squeeze it until it closes. My daughter's in the studio with us. Tell everyone in your own words who you are and what life looked like before all of this started.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm Regina's daughter. What it looked like before, I don't really remember that much because I feel like most of my life I have had some kind of stomach problems of sorts. It's just now gotten worse. So
It's true. Do you remember when it did first start? Whenever you started realizing something was wrong, and what were your symptoms when it first started?
so that was probably almost 5 years ago now, and I started getting sick every time I ate meat. It was like I couldn't digest it. So I went and got a bunch of tests done. I did blood work. All kinds of different things. And they were basically just said, oh, well, maybe your body's changing and it doesn't want to digest meat anymore. You are getting close to 40 now and things change. And, that's probably all it could be. I was still able to eat seafood, though, which thank goodness, because that is my favorite. And so I ended up just basically going on a pescatarian diet, which it wasn't too far from what I ate originally because I've always ate pretty healthy and clean. Just this time I just stayed away from actual meat.
Exactly. And, really even starting before that, as your mom, as an early young teenager, 14 and 15, even, you started having a lot of issues. And I remember us talking to the doctor back then, and, it was, oh, she's okay. She's a teenager. She's probably just making herself throw up. She's in school. It's a heavy time for stress right now with peer pressure. And even for me, that was a struggle. I would, look at the doctor and say, you don't understand. She's not doing this. We're sitting down having dinner at a restaurant and everybody's laughing and happy. And she starts eating and all of a sudden her face goes white. She gets quiet and gets up, go to the bathroom because she has to throw up. I said, that's not making herself throw up. So I remember the
Yeah,
struggles actually really early on.
I do remember them even pulling me because I was 16 at that time, and them asking you to leave the room to ask me if I did make myself sick. And I was like, if I was doing it myself, I wouldn't be telling people. And, you had me keep the food journal, and every time I felt sick, you had me tell you, and you'd even come to the bathroom with me, and I'd be like, okay, we're figuring something out. And then, finally we found out I had ulcers lining my esophagus all the way into my stomach.
So each time, even then, and then of course now as you've gotten older, every time the doctors would just say, it's just stress, it's just anxiety. How did that make you feel when you felt like something was really wrong?
Kind of just like, well, I can't be that stressed. One of them told me that my stomach just produces more acid than normal, and that being a stressed teen or stress going in my life just set it off more, and I just had to be careful. And I don't. What am I supposed to say to that? Okay, that sounds crazy. We didn't have a lot more information that we have now, so it was kind of just made me feel like maybe they should have been looking into it more. there could have been other stuff going on, and I'm just getting told what I'm getting told. So
Just kind of dismissed. Yeah, really, is that you're making this up, you're a teenager, it's all in your head. Because of that, though, and because of the situation, then is what started your journey to eating better. Not too long after that, I took you to a nutritionist and we walked through the steps of her even taking you to the grocery store and reading labels and everything. So you already were eating very well. And then, like you say, about 5 years ago, all of a sudden, then meat didn't work for you anymore. And you were a huge meat eater. So that was very,
yeah.
as a mom, too. Yeah, it's shocking. I'm sitting there seeing this complete change in what you're eating, and then now you're losing weight, now you're feeling even more sick, and then we're again going, what could be wrong, what could be going on? And then again you went and had all these tests done, and without any results. So what did it feel like when the doctor finally said, I know what this is?
Well, the funny thing was, it wasn't really actually the doctor. It was a really bad pain I had in my side last year. And because of that, I ended up, like blacking out for 4 days and couldn't really figure out what was going on. And so my side was hurting so bad that they thought maybe it was kidney stones or something. My neighbor took me to the hospital and they did a scan. And when they came back out, they said, all right, so it's not that, but while we were looking, we did find something that you need to get checked out. It looks like you might have SMA syndrome. And she said, have you been losing a
Mhm.
bunch of weight? And I said, no, actually, I've been gaining weight, like quite the opposite. And she goes, oh, that's so good. And I just looked at her really confused because I had no idea what this was. And I think half the
Yeah.
night I spent Googling about it, trying to figure out what it was. And I just, after reading up on everything, I was like, is this why I can't eat meat anymore? Like, is this what's been going on the whole time? So it was kind of actually a relief to finally get an answer to what was going on with me, because no one else had any idea. And the fact that it was ended up being the hospital, and then went to see the GI doctor and did the endoscopy, and he confirmed it. So it was a relief to finally figure out what it was.
It is. So, in your own words, what do you understand SMAS to be? What have you discovered?
Um, Basically that my main artery that's going down has begun to compress against my small intestine. The compression is pretty significant. So what's been happening is that because it's so compressed, it's a small, like little small area that my food is trying to get through to finish digesting through my small intestine once it gets out of my stomach. And basically, because it's so compressed, I don't have a lot of room. And what was happening was anything that was heavy to eat would keep sitting there. And then eventually it would start making me feel very nauseous, and then it would come back up, which is what was happening when I was trying to eat meat. So anything that's real heavy, or like bread, I don't know when, but all of a sudden I became lactose intolerant as well. So just it's always been something. So
It has been. So, what is your relationship with food right now? Every time you go to fix something to eat or begin to eat something, what goes through your mind?
um, is this gonna make me sick? Can I risk it today? I've been trying to, since I have been such a meat eater my whole life. I have been trying to, take little bites of things here and there and see how I feel. Some days I have days where I'm just like, screw it, I want a pizza, and I'll eat it. Now, granted, I'll look too much pregnant for 2 days, but thankfully I haven't really gotten sick anymore. So at least that's good. But really, it's just kind of, I don't know, I feel like I've ate pretty healthy most of my entire life, and I've always ate pretty good and clean, minus some
Right.
weekends here and there. I've always worked out a bunch too. So for me at this
Right.
point, because I feel like this year it has gotten significantly worse, What's been the hardest for me is not being able to give my body the nutrition it needs, not being able to work out as much because, having a job where I'm standing on my feet all day and working long hours, it's hard for me to get up in the morning. It's hard for me to,
Mhm.
not be exhausted at the end of every day. So what's really been hard for me is not being able to have the energy and work out and be active like I have been. And so when you start watching that, going from someone that ate really good all the time and worked out all the time to now, I'm having to watch every little thing I eat. Now I'm exhausted at the end of every day. I haven't been able to work out. It really kind of takes a toll on your body mentally and physically. And that's kind of what's been the hardest for me.
Interestingly enough, they would like for you to gain weight because part of this is that the fat ring around the intestines has melted away. And one of the things that they ask you at first to do is to gain weight. However, you were gaining weight and others have lost weight. So it can be either way sometimes. Somebody that completely loses weight all the time, or as for you, you gained weight. And this did not help that ring of fat that they were wanting, to build back up to. As a mom in general, with talking to, other moms, watching your child suffer, no matter what age, whether they're, 5 years old or 37 years old, about to go on 38, not being able to fix it is just, a special kind of pain. But I'm really proud of the strength that you have shown through all of this. You've advocated for your health. You speak up to your doctors. You listen to what they have to say, but then you're like, wait a minute. I don't know. I don't know about that. This isn't right. And so
Yeah.
then you try another kind of doctor and, different things. So I just, I'm really proud of the fact that you do continually stand up for yourself, stand up for your health, look things up and try to figure out, what's wrong. Tell us about now. We have definitely discovered with SMAS, we're going to have surgery. It's almost non-negotiable if you're going to try to live a more normal life. How did you go about finding a doctor for this?
Well, the thing is about this syndrome is it's very scary. A lot of times it's a subsequent effect. One of the things that the doctor talked to us about was MALS, which usually actually causes SMA. So it's basically a shortening of the celiac artery. Sometimes it's something you're born with. So, being able to rule that out was really nice. Still doesn't give me much solution for what actually caused this. Um, but as far as finding the doctor, I really just started doing a lot of research because it said it was so rare. And I ended up going down like this YouTube video like wormhole of people that were videotaping their SMA journeys and all the stuff they talked about and all the other different symptoms and things that they had, not just with SMA, but my gosh, having mouths with it, nutcracker, like vein thrombosis type things. I mean, there's so many other things that seem to go with it. It's not usually just this one thing in particular. So once I started kind of going down that
Yeah.
little wormhole and being like, okay, that symptom, I know I have that one too, or this one affects me, and doing more research on each one of what each one of them were. And then I started looking up specialists for this. And I learned quite a bit doing that. And then I also found some SMA support like group Facebook pages and learn a
Hmm.
lot on those pages as well. People actually going through all these different things, the different tubes that people get put in, how much how they've had to advocate for themselves and fight for doctors, and a lot of doctors that haven't believed them that they have this, or will send them off, or just it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy actually. So I'm thankful that I have found a way that the doctors I have found do believe me and have confirmed it and have not blown me off about it. As far as the doctor that I did choose, he was actually my first choice. At the same time, I'm not someone
Hmm.
that just goes, yeah, that one opinion. Because with the GI doctor I did have, I kind of was like, I don't know, maybe I should talk to someone else a little bit. And he was great. I just, wasn't sure that he was maybe the right fit for me. So, looking up the different doctors and seeing what qualifications they had, what they had to say about the syndrome, kind of their opinions, how they like to do their surgeries. And then that's how I landed on Dr. Showhead in California. And then after doing the the consultation with him, I definitely felt very good with the choice that I had made.
Definitely. And we're going to be showing a little clip, of a piece of our conversation with him. He's been very gracious in telling us we can use whatever we want to let people know about him and this journey, through all of this. So, what is the surgery that you're looking at possibly having? And what are your concerns about that?
So for SMA, from what I gathered, basically what they do is they will take out your appendix, and then they move your small intestine over, unwind the duodenum, and place it around, so that way it doesn't never have a chance of going back and the compression happening again. From what I understand, it is a pretty intense surgery, but it is one of pretty much the only one that is a guaranteed lifetime fix, without anything returning back to its placements and positions. Now, don't get me wrong, it's scary. It's a huge surgery. So it does make me pretty nervous. But I am pretty excited about it as well, because at this point, I don't even know how long I've been dealing with this
Yeah.
realistically, because I could have had it for 12 years, 13 years and never known. And, as I got older, maybe things changed and then it kept getting worse. I know just what I've gone through in the last 5 years. I'm ready I'm ready to feel better again.
I know you are, because I know it's also very frustrating at family dinners and, special occasions and things like that. And every time we're all eating turkey and dressing and all of this, and then you either always have to bring special food or use different things, or we have to cook individual things that work for you. So I know that's a terrible struggle, even to go to a friend's party or anything that you'd like to do. So I know you're looking forward to being able to eat some quote real food, or food that everybody else is doing without having to worry about it.
I was just gonna say it's not even really necessarily like the eating like the real food thing. Because since I have been doing this for so long now, I basically went vegetarian pescatarian, or like a vegan pescatarian. But again, as far as things I have been eating, I didn't change a whole lot from my regular diet. It's more of just, we go to a family thing and we're making ribs and fajitas, and I'm like, okay, I brought some fish to throw on the grill, and or my friend's got a birthday party and they want to go to a Mexican restaurant, and I'm like, okay, what can I eat? Or dessert. I got to be careful with that too. It's more just kind of a pain sometimes when it's the times I want to eat something bad.
True.
I want the cheat day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, just being on regular, little diets and eating plans, whatever, most people can't hardly stick to them, because when it comes to things like that, it's hard. It's hard to be the one eating fish while everybody's eating steak. Even
Hmm.
though you love fish, I love fish, not a big deal, but you would just like to have the choice. In talking with the doctor the other day, one of the things that we learned also when it comes to the surgery is that you will be in the hospital for 6 to 8 days. And that's a big deal nowadays, because most people try to get you in and out, as fast as they can. Also, we'll be there for another week after that, just to make sure, things are well, do our first checkups, and then get to come home when it's safe for you to travel and fly and everything again also. Um, What you said that your different people that you've met through the Facebook pages and stuff like that have been giving you ideas of make sure and bring this with you because you're going to need this, bring that. What have they been telling you?
All the normal things, your toothbrush. They've also said, bring your own pillow, bring a heating pad, bring some comfy socks. Otherwise you're just gonna get hospital socks. Bring your computer, your iPad, chargers, all the things. Gosh, there was a good list. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it.
Exactly. And if you, because you've been looking on the Facebook page, which, I've been looking at with you also, are you finding the support and the other people reaching out and very willing to tell their story to you and what helps them?
Absolutely. Everyone's been very helpful on there. They'll give their own stories. Everything has happened to them. I've had people reach out to me on the side, sending me a private message saying, I loved this person, or, everyone's journey's different. And, sometimes people will be like, oh, I have this symptom and this symptom. And, they'll comment on there, check this out. This might fall in this category, or, everyone's very helpful on there and willing to kind of inform as much as possible, because everyone knows how rare this is, and maybe not necessarily rare. I know that if you Google it, it says how rare it is based on the people that are on this Facebook page. And
Right.
the more I get into this, it actually doesn't seem like it's horribly rare, but that it's just now being found out more what it is, and getting its own diagnosis now. That people are finally realizing this is a serious condition. Um, and so I think that's an important part of it too, is, for people not to get overlooked, and kind of, be able to be more informed of other things that might be going on.
I agree. Like you said, I think it's more that, yeah, people are getting a diagnosis now when they thought it was something else or something else, because it does mimic several different things. But then, yet, there's some pretty severe things that happen. I know the doctor said with you, they're like, you are classic case, that it was very clear once, someone, like you said, the hospital discovered, hey, I think you might, have this. I'm also excited that we've already had people reach out from the Facebook thing, willing to come on to the program also and kind of talk about their journey, which is a little bit ahead of yours. Is there something else that you would like to talk about today that maybe we didn't cover that you want people to know today?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, if only thing I would maybe have to say is just listen to your body. Doctors aren't always right.
That's it. And just that your own body. So make sure you advocate when you know things are not right. So, listeners, this is a journey we're asking you to walk through with us each month. We will keep you updated on the doctor visits. We're going to take you along with the doctor visits on our flight to Los Angeles and hear from other SMA sufferers. Until next time, if you feel the doctors are not listening to you, keep advocating for yourself. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to say something's still not right, because there will be a doctor, there will be a hospital, there will be a place that says, hey, I know what that is. So until next week, stay brave, stay strong, stay beautiful. You've got this.